Hi, hi, Hasemina. That was the flag song, and to just a brief interpretation of the flag song, the Queen Mother had given us the flag, and then that flag will blow in the wind forever. Is the words if you don't understand the Cree language. Egwa negwa, the victory song, and we will get started. Egwa boys, how? Hi, hi, thank you very much. And we will move the flags and put them in their appropriate places. We're going to put the eagle staffs together on the center pole, and the other flags will go on the outside. Hi, hi, ogamawak, uniganiwak. And welcome to the schools that have joined us today too as well. I believe Eagle View was here earlier and they're still here. I believe this might be Saga Scooch that is in the house. Nice having you guys around too as well. Nigan nga tamskakan. My name is Vernon Lewis, and I will be your MC for this afternoon and this evening too as well. And my co-MC will be Leon Whitstone. Leon himself with the pagitse. Once he's available, he'll come and join us here at the front too as well. Eric Motsigaskitao got up this morning and realized his truck wasn't restarting, so he said he will be around tomorrow. Tomorrow ngapetaksunin itwell. But that's all right. We're going to continue on with the meeting, and just to let you in on the agenda. Egoit sing atats mustat na. At one point, maybe last year, I was the director for treaty governance, and I'm glad to have been asked to participate again. Tepewawitapm togok nista. Lately, I had changed careers. Niste wanipmgakskinama agan. I became a teacher for the Frog Lake First Nation and teaching Aboriginal Studies 10. Astimina treaties minegote ntoats mustoa go asak. So it's been a good change for me, but I still didn't want to leave the department alone. For the agenda this morning, we've gone through the breakfast. We had the pipe ceremony this morning too as well. Again, thank you to the pipe carriers for this morning's prayers. And asemina, the grand entry no. For the agenda for today, we'll have opening remarks. Sema Goma, Ogemau Lewis, Tapik Squel. We the OLCN leadership. If we have Onion Lake leadership, if you can come and sit in front. If you are here, I think I saw Bernadine out there earlier too as well, and Councillor Irene. And after opening remarks, we will have the leadership panel. And Ogemau Henry will start things off with that one. Chief Phyllis Whitford, O'Cheese First Nation, Petoksin. Chief Gary Layman from Beaver Lake, Wista. And Minor Chief Regina Crowchild from Sutina First Nation is here too as well. Along with all the other leadership that are here. And that will take us into our leadership panel. Tapm gakwetsamano kigwe kwa wiwawam so at tapm pikskot tuguno oktan se sipma tuskata kigwe guneho teka gawip mamam skutami. Other leadership in attendance will be here too as well. Inherent laws later on. Jim O'Cheese, Wista, I believe he's in his trailer right now. Wista, he's just taking it easy now that he's out here in Fort Pitt. It's nice to have him here in attendance too as well. And a little bit later on, Eric was supposed to be here, so we'll have to move his presentation to tomorrow. Reinstating our laws for treaty implementation. We'll move that into tomorrow's agenda. And the elders panel, a little bit later on this afternoon. Maybe once we're done with the leadership panel, we'll jump into the elders panel too as well. After that, again, that elders panel was supposed to be facilitated by Eric Tatusis, but he's not here. But we'll try to make do. We'll try to figure things out as we go along. So that is your agenda for today. I do have a list. If anything else comes up that you require everybody else's attention, or jot it down as a message, and I'll be happy to relay that message over to everyone else who is listening. I'll be here pretty well most of the day. I've got my vitamin water right here, so I don't have to go very far. And then if somebody starts to get mad, I've got the Snickers bar here too as well. So I'm just kidding. Opening remarks from the Onion Lake Cree Nation, Ogemau Henry Lewis.
Nigan guhtawino. Gagi sumdut awanos gagi ksipayag. Mina him nanaskumag. Mina sayo na piego. Hisoim gusya kamaus sa kuntiya kumuta. Was kay kansi kay siya ti Fort Pitt. mistä naskumojan. Mä aina kauan magik. Tahtoaski. Mutta ei takuhtiitsik. Kutta koiskon. Mistä naskumagik. Oge, niitä oge mauk. Kap maptsik. Iku muuma oge mauun. Att jo enu tiito puhuttamaan tämän temu muutasti. Kimi Gona no under the Indian Act. Chief igisi katagoyak under the Indian Act. Maga under the sovereign terms, under inherent laws, structures. Okimaok. Uta in front of me, apo. Sinabi osini. Mpaguis mo sini. Ikumanip mapatsik may Sundance. Ip mamsiyan. Mana humato hip mapit. Ip misnan tuhta mopit. Uegi ku ito kihteeg. Uena kuhtao eno huusi pikskoimat. Sinabi osini uigo kisuhkit. Imahtausit. Iguma hoge maun kap maitua. Misit kikskihtin mpaguis mukami kap may sikatik. Ekuta. Tawa hip nipot ogemau ahtik. Pihtagi sega nuk uti ogemau piisu. Ogemau asani hintuhta muoptekta min. Iku muuma suksuun tapuipuku ogemauun kap mai sigatik. Igom kikskihtamik. Utahan istuma kap nani pojan. Et mamto niihtamaan havassak, et papihto kiitsik. Ja kun tännistä hikipm hapiaan iks no muukin kavassak. Nianan grade 5. Ekika kuitsema kikmana. Kigoma. Kipamatuna. What are your treaty rights if maitakik? Open skit pego. We get $5 a year. Nian nopsimigo yak a year. Ekwa kiwa mina tau. Muikskihtamuk. Nikskihti nekutta. Uhtounan toga kuip mai tuutamik. Expi kagisihtaman. 25 years ago aspin. Stamgapen pihtigoja noge maunik. Ikuma hipm kanoa pahtamaan tupa matun. Utsi toukuhta oi no kiigui maastat kiigui. Et muista makuja muika maamas kattamak. Ikia pitstuume avassa kuukuuta kap maptsik. Ja kun nikuukin mamtoni majahkuk. Kis inuhti kuitsemagig. The student audience that are here, I ask you this question again. Do you know your treaty rights? Name one treaty right that you have, may gods. Anybody? Raise your hand. What is your treaty right? Don't you do it? Huh? Oh, fishing. Yeah, fishing. You're on my pig. And another one. You gotta yell, I'm kind of deaf. Education, free education. Health, free health. Yeah, hunting, fishing, and trapping. See, it came a long way. We were able to get the treaties in our curriculum. It's strong in our school system. That's one thing that we wanted. The future generations, what they stand for when it comes to treaty rights, inherent rights. Inherent rights, student body, are the rights that we had prior to the arrival of the white people. Those are inherent rights. We had them intact. Treaty rights came after, when they promised, for us to share the land in terms that we get benefits. And up to 149 years later, we're still here. Kaya wow, we're here for you. Kakyo tagap mapia. The students, it's important that we're sitting here on your behalf so that you can continue and realize the benefits for another 150 years. 150 years anniversary is coming up next year, Masemin. Magigotego. When I made a grand entry into politics, now I'm slowly phasing myself out. We have to find a leader that can continue the work that I'm doing. It's very important. Maga kistawa kiteyak kiano. My next role is to guide the alliance that we had established throughout the years. The alliance, what does that mean? When we first started. If you want to join the alliance, it's got to start from there. The foundation is our ceremonies. That's the foundation. It's sad to say a lot of First Nations don't have that foundation, although it's no fault of their own. With our ceremonial people going. Now we're in a danger point now. There's only a few elders left. A few elders. So I'm going to be taking on that role, see if I can guide the process. That's where the continuance will happen. It needs to happen. Because may God's, the government, it's for you to know, Gil, again, the student body. I'm hoping that you're using your listening skills because it's important what I'm talking about. Very important. Maga, I just like to, after my special welcome with all my colleagues, including the leadership and my leadership that are here, Wistawa. And I thank all our staff to make it that's good, that's the hard work. We got a lot of preparation, a lot of setting up. But the thing that really hits me, is the ceremonies that we conducted yesterday. Like I said, it's our foundation of our existence, Kiano. And furthermore, and I'll end off with this, the treaty pipe stem is in that teepee. It's in that teepee. And that's what's going to guide us so that we persevere into the future of our rights. Thank you very much, Kinanaskum Tinawaw, and let's have a good day of discussions. Don't be afraid to ask us questions. It will answer to the best of our abilities in terms of where the government is at and what their plans are, and what do we need to do to counteract that. Hi.
Hi, Ogimao. Thank you very much for the introduction too as well. And yes, it was good to see the kids from the schools here in attendance right now. And what Ogimao was talking about was that he's very thankful for other leadership for being here this year and the previous years too as well. And he also talked about the Xena Peosini that is sitting right in front here. And that's where we gain a lot of our strength in terms of treaty too as well. So Nanaskumao, guys, Papikskwa. Are there any other leadership from Onion Lake here? Back here. Just to introduce yourselves and say hello to our visitors. Nigan, Councillor Bernadine.
Hi. Nigan na mamotawi mau nigan na naskumao. Hep migo ami nagotakisagaw ta hep monska tutama. Kana naskumo agakyo hep monskaya hep miumatihoa. Binanuto tagap miugisagan siya agakyo. Kagwep nstutama egunyo he te pamatuna kayas kagi mas nahagik kito gimasko ewa oniganiwak, ogimawak, ogimaganak. Kinanaskum na gakyo ga petagutek, minagakyo ga ugiutewak. Nanaskum ao gakyo taga petagutek, ugimaganak, minauyasoewak, minaketeya gakyo, minuskapeo sa gakyo. Minagita to kiksep, utaksi, kamati tauma, kagipita, kaupina, uspagana. Nanaskum nan, hipmgagi sumue, koiski gomo tagap mispay guma, nistogisa gagawi mamopaig. Anots, mamskuta mo gimagan, tansigo simstagite guniuhit pamatuna. Tunepo ko gagamay mo o magyano, msoe gani hiwas kam gagumuta, Third Island man kay sigatek, eksimani ang sigaten, mo'y Canada ang sigaten. Usam eksigi sigatek, nistamuma, utagagi, migus yaw mo tagap mo tato tamaski. Kagamay mo kanipost tama, kiguan igimigwa, mamutawi mau, egwatan sige sa sutamagwa, kitugmasko, tansi kiwis witigwa. Egunya ninis tantapo gaten, nistego ninix gaten, pogo kasugasta, maga po kamamo gamatwa. At yung ang agayasi mon mitito gutos kayak mo instutamak ni Yahweh. First of all, I want to thank the Creator for giving us a beautiful day today to come together here where our treaties were entered into September 1876 by our leaders and with the British Crown. We have to understand today, we have to stand strong as a nation right across Turtle Island. I want to thank our elders who led us in ceremony yesterday, praying for our people, praying for what is right for us, the rightful owners of what was promised to us. Thank you to the elders for your prayers this morning. Thank you for raising the pipe. Thank you to the visitors, welcome visitors, for being here to come and share your knowledge on treaties. Thank you to everybody that's here, all the students, all the leadership from different communities. Thank you for being here. We heard our chief here speak about the importance of treaty. I myself believe in that because I have seen a lot of changes already. And as a group of Nehiawak, like First Nations people right across Turtle Island, I said that I acknowledge our country as Turtle Island because I don't agree, for me anyways, it is the government that say Canada, but I don't. When I acknowledge our island, I say Turtle Island because this land was given to us by our Creator. We entered into treaty with the British Crown. We have to understand the importance of our treaties and how we need to unite together, come together and fight for what is rightfully ours. We see today so many challenges that we face with our health, our education, our social, so many challenges. And it is all infringing our treaty rights. So as a nation, we need to stand strong together and fight for the rights of our children that are sitting here in this crowd, for the grandchildren, and for generations to come, because what is going to happen in the next 7 generations if we don't stand strong for our treaties? We also need to be all inclusive of prayer and ceremony. That's what we need to do. So with that, I thank you for listening. Welcome, everyone.
Tanse Irene Carter ni nitsiga so no tawitse kaskusiyo sagay kanoche. Stay kita tamskat na kakyo kita tamskat na mamo tawi maui hunuche. Stay na nas como ne pemiche che awase sak. Ke awase sak. Ke hewat sta na wase sak. Tutamok. Skate nen stutamek ay tagoye kan tutamok. Kananas na wow. Ewa kya mi na Eagle View, stay na nas that you're here. I'm so thankful that you're here because this information is for you. Whatever the leaders are fighting for is for you. So I'm very thankful. I'm very glad that everybody is here. My background is education, so that's why I'm here talking to the students that are here. And I'm so very proud that the teachers take that opportunity to bring the students out here. And I'm very thankful for that because they are the ones that are going to lead our young people to where it is that we need to have them be, because they are our future leaders. In the future, you're going to be the ones that sitting up here and standing up here and giving this information out to the people. But I'm very thankful. What the other leaders, what Chief has said, Chief Lewis has said, what Councillor Harper has said, I echo those same feelings. I'm very honored to be standing up here. I'm honored to have everybody here from the different nations, because I believe that we all have the same journey. Where we're trying to get, we're doing it for our youth. Except tamagin na naskum nawagitam. Mustas.
Hi. Thank you very much, Councillor Irene Carter. Ego Bernadine Harper. Ego nika notskap ng papik skwetsik. Ego at the leadership panel gap mamatsi tana no. Comments? Oh, tapoy gani. Huwag mo kung gets na mo, I'll hand the microphone over to the chiefs.
Tansen tot emtek, wako maganak, naskunten, semanto, naskunten, uspuagan, stemau, wikas, wipanas, nochawis. Nyo yakau tapit ki heo net sigason, amiskusa gaiga no chenia. Tom Scott no au kakiao, swim nan kakiao. So, as a result of colonization, residential schools, my Cree is limited. I speak limited Cree, and when I hear him talk, fluent Cree talker. I'm going to be 58 this month, and my Cree is limited. I'm going to keep working on that. I hope to never see a day when my language, there's maybe one person that speaks it and they're getting old, and that our language dies. A language dies, I forget how many days, but there's languages that die that nobody speaks anymore. So I look to you young people. Learn the language, learn the culture as best you can. Keep our culture strong. Wherever you're from, whatever language you speak, continue to speak it. I want to say that it's very humbling to have the young people here sitting right in front of us. You're beautiful people. I want you to listen carefully. I think that was said earlier. Totamuk. Listen up. That's what that means. How many of you knew that word already? A few of you knew it? Miyasin. But what is also very humbling is that I'm walking on the ground that Big Bear walked on, that Sweetgrass walked on, Pagan. All these great leaders from before, they were walking around here. This is where a treaty was signed. So it's very humbling. And as part of the pipe ceremony that we did this morning, we invite all our ancestors, and that includes them, to come and join us. Come and join us in spirit. So they are here. They are here to listen to us, to talk. One of the things that we're going to be talking about later on is cows and plows. And we had a band meeting in Beaver Lake. That's where I'm from. We had a band meeting last week, and one of the band members said, "What about this cows and plows? When are we going to get our cows and plows?" And I said, "Well, we have to do this right. We have to do this right. Otherwise, the young people that are sitting here and your grandchildren and your great-grandchildren will not have cows and plows. That's a treaty right." So us as leadership, that's a great responsibility. We have to do it right. We have to do it right, otherwise you lose treaty rights. It's not just about money. And that's what, that way. So one thing that was mentioned was it should not be called a settlement package. It should be called a compensation package. Another thing that was mentioned was final and forever. That means that they wash their hands of it, final and forever. So we have not signed on to this this compensation package because we want to put our own together, and then we're going to present it to Canada and say this is going to continue. It can't stop. But we're going to talk about that some more later on. It's so nice to see this place just filled. And put some tobacco down if you get a chance to, because we're on sacred ground. And I'll be talking a little bit more. Yuksamaga. Hi.
Nigan ganana komag semanto hasamenano go mini going pematis yawin takakikisigan nanakomag inkiweg ap me umpina tohpaganan nanakomag nipoa minik kagisimon mini going nanakutan miwe. Good morning. My name is Phyllis Whitford. I am the chief of Ochis First Nation. For one, I don't feel comfortable saying I'm the chief. I use my own language to say what I am and what I do. Okimakwe. My elders reminded me that I need to use that in my own language. I just wanted to say that I feel very blessed and humbled to be here today in front of all of you. I'm especially excited to see all the young people here. We're here for them. We're here for all of you. We fight that fight for our young people and for those ones into the future. I thought about how humbling it was to be here. This is true leadership here today. This is true governance here today. We have the Eagle staff. We have our bundles. We have our pipes. That's what true leadership is. I remember a few people telling me that now I'm a politician. I took offense to that because I will never be a politician. I will commit and have been to practice true leadership for my people and for all First Nations. Our commitment here is for our children. And what is treaty? What is that? We all have different types of definition of what that is. In our ceremonies and our elders tell us treaty is our life. It's life of everyone that's here today. Treaty is not a thing. It has a heartbeat. And we got to make sure that heartbeat beats properly and that it stays strong so our children can live the privileged life that we have. I think about the signatories to OCHIs. Just a little bit of history. Our people ran from residential school, ran from the government for about a good 80 to 100 years. We fled to the mountains. And it wasn't until I got older I understood why. They were there to hide our bundles. We were forbidden to do our ceremonies. So our ancestors hid us in the foothills so we can practice our language, practice our ceremony. And I thank them today. If it hadn't been for them, we would have been lost as well into the residential school. Not to say we still have our issues as well. You know, we were still impacted by the oppression. But I want to say, let's continue the fight. Let's continue to strengthen our identity, our value system, strengthen our ceremonies, strengthen who we are as people. And I thank those ones and the other First Nations that stand united. These leaders that you see here, they're about true treaty fighting. And this is where I'll be. Thank you.
Ani stamina tena kamao seniga bitot kau penang bagan kamina kwak maga Joey Pete si kasun bisemwa sisun tsindia the mama tse Little Pine e kamina te Sunchild tse Edwin French eater si kaso maga istamino ninaskom kakyo tagawap mitago gawas kamep check kakyo egomina hawas sak maga yap check maga ninaskom kagenin nanak kawe gekso nipon ninaskom magenin kapinamuan Mise besigut ska gwelgema Henry. Nego mina ga kino mount Onion Lake. Mise ga kamete mege go ga unissing tabskus ga gita weta moat melza. Unissen. Mise ma mo kamati ege go ma. Maga keket kana gegu sanagan. Kana gegu ga giket tuat melza. We want it to get there. Can I get go kagi kituat? Maga, kya pe market the up men. So kya peke ma mo kamat men. Untik wak go gamino seg. So kami gat the mingego. Maga, Ginakumin them guy kit Scots, eos maga yag. I just want to say good morning to the people of Onion Lake, to the leadership that all spoke their good words this morning, and want to thank the elders for lifting the pipes. The man pipe, the woman pipe was lifted this morning, and the good prayers that come along with it for all the people that are here today, especially to the children that are here. It lifts my heart, pushes me, gives me the energy to try harder, because everything that we do is supposed to be for you. Back in the day, when I was a kid, I was told we're going to lose many things. Many things have changed since I was a child. The lands have changed. Our people have changed. But we're still here. We're still learning, we're still fighting. My granny used to say, never to lose your language. The language is who we are. I think that was in 1991, she said that with the loss of the language is loss of the Indian. So you kids continue to learn, listen, respect your moms, your dads, your Muslims, your Kukums. Ask them questions, because they're here today. We're never promised tomorrow. The knowledge they attain, the knowledge they know, should always be passed on. Because when you, like Chief Phyllis mentioned earlier, the neighboring nation from Ochis, Phyllis is my relative, and we have the same stories, but our people, like Treaty 6 was signed. When was it, kids? When was it signed? You're all here. Come on, one of you gotta know. Yeah, you got it. 1876, so good job. So for 68 years, our people ran from treaty during that whole rebellion piece. And, you know, it was a huge fight. They were all afraid of treaty. And I'm pretty sure Big Bear's wife, she signed treaty too in Sunchild in 1944, when our people didn't understand what was going on. But we were all rounded up like cattle, and everybody was made to sign. You know, that was a hard thing, and the stories that I heard, even during Battleford with Big Bear and the hanging of his head men. My granny, I'm not sure, I heard she was 9 when she witnessed that. So, but the thing we need to remember is that we are still here, we are still fighting, we are still strong, and never forget who you are, where you come from, no matter where you go, and your home fire, it will always burn, and your people will always support you. Never forget that. But I just want to say, Ahkamen Muk, and let's move together, because we can't stand in. One should never stand in front of another. We should stand beside each other, support one another. That's why I went to many powwows. I didn't go for glamour or popularity. I went for support. And many chiefs came to my nation when we had a powwow. They came and support me, so I know that when I do need the support from the chiefs, it'll come. It will be there, because we can't stand alone, and we got to continue to move forward together. Maga. Ginakuminim, hi hi miigwech.
Hi, hi. Thank you very much. Chief Gary Lehman, Chief Phyllis Whitford, Chief Joey Pete, and here in terms of having people introduce themselves, we have Minor Chief Regina Crowchild, and I think she's sitting over there. I'm going to bring the microphone over to you, Regina. I love listening to her, love watching her on YouTube or on TikTok and everywhere else.
Tansay. Okay, nistuan na kok na to ikok. Kito ko na eximatsim po. Good morning to all of you. I'm so thankful that I had this opportunity again to be invited by Okima Lewis and Onion Lake to come and be a part of this gathering. It's been a couple of years, I think, since last time I came, but I was at their school where we had the opportunity to meet with some of the students. I think it was the high school students, and we were able to talk about treaty. I'm originally from the Blood tribe, but I come from Treaty 7. And when I got married, Indian agent put my name with the Sarsis. It was called Sarsis at the time. Now it's changed to Tsotina. That's the nation. And I'm so thankful for the elders, for the spiritual elders, for lifting up the pipe. That is so key to give us strength and courage and wisdom and to help us on all our struggles on dealing with our treaties. I'm so thankful for that because we need that all the time. And I'm thankful to be here so that I could renew my knowledge and my understanding of what treaty is all about. You know, our treaties are in danger right now. And it is so important that our peoples work together to protect and enhance our treaty so that we can enjoy the benefits of treaty today, tomorrow, and for those children yet unborn. It is supposed to stay here as long as the sun shines, the grass grows, and the rivers flow. So it's important. You know, I'm so glad to see these young people here. You know, I was very young like that when my late father, Howard Beebe Sr., started taking me to meetings to listen. And the reason why he did that was because he said, you give your opinion, whether anybody wants to hear it or not. So you better know who you are, what your history is, what the treaty is all about. Because if you don't, you're going to be very dangerous to our peoples. And I understand that today wholeheartedly. Because of all the obstacles that we are facing, Canada is trying to do away with our treaties, and they're moving fast. And many of our leadership are falling into their traps, going into the other systems that's going to replace the Indian Act and make us into municipalities and do away with our treaties. Yes, the Indian Act was created in 1876, the same time as Treaty 6 was entered into. But the whole reason for that was to get rid of us, get rid of our peoples, because Canada assumed title to our territories. And our peoples at treaty making couldn't speak, understand, or read the English language. They used interpreters. And many of those interpreters didn't speak our languages properly. So our understanding of what the treaty is about differs from that of the Canadians today and the commissioners of those days. So it's important that we learn what it's all about, and that we support our leadership and give them strength and courage and recommendations on what to do to protect that. Because we as leaders have a responsibility to make sure that our territories are here to stay, and now we call our reserves. that are here to stay so we can continue our way of life. And yes, the language is very important. It's key to our identity. You don't find our languages in Europe or elsewhere except on Turtle Island, because that when our Creator gave us our territories, He gave us our language, our identity, our way of life. So in treaty making, we were to share our territories to the depth of the plow, all just for settlement. But as you know today, because Canada assumed title to our territories, we are very limited to enjoying our traditional territories, because Canada created the provinces and gave our natural resources and our territories to the provinces without our consent in 1930. So I'm just happy to be here. And later on, I guess we will be on a panel to talk more about the treaty. And it's important that the young children know. You start learning, so you can continue the work that the leadership are doing today. And we need to unite. I come from Treaty 7, and this is Treaty 6, but we all have treaties with the Imperial Crown. And there are similarities, but the basics are the same. And I know that because I traveled from southern Alberta all the way to the Denita in northern Alberta, and the elders basically said the same, that we had what our treaties were about. We never sold or ceded our territories like it is written in the written text. So we have to work together. So I'm very grateful to be here, to listen, and then to gain more knowledge. We always learn more. There's never a time that we don't know, that we know everything. So we need to continue listening so we can be strong and do what needs to be done, so our peoples will always have a home to go to and to live their way of life that our Creator gave us. So thank you again, Okima Lewis, and I'm very happy to see the other leadership. And yes, I just heard that ISK is meeting with the Treaty 6 chiefs in Edmonton. What a coincidence, eh? To keep our chiefs away, because they're talking about programs and services for our peoples. So, but doesn't matter. We can continue our fight, and we can strategize. And tomorrow I will give you an update or a brief overview of what happened to Treaties 1 to 11 gathering that we hosted at Sutina. So with that, God bless you all, and let's work together. And I look forward to hearing from all of you, including the elders, to share your wisdom and your knowledge. And I'm so thankful for all the technicians that work so hard all year round to help our leadership. Thank you. And I want to thank the hospitality here, the cooks, everything. So with that, we'll be talking to you again, and I hope to learn more and more and see the strength that our peoples all carry. Hi, hi. I finally learned how to say hi, hi.
Hi, hi. Thank you very much, Regina. There are other leadership that are here. Councillor Eddie Makokis from Sad Lake, is he still sitting here? And Kurt Buffalo too as well. Just to say a few words and introduce themselves too as well. We'll start with the good looking one.
These now I'm all shy, hey. Aga kiok tatam skat now and wako maganting. Ta poe ki na nas kumoyak. Tawa we mi gawia. Asai mi na ya. E pe snahma wasoya. E pe at mustawa ya ki go mi wasini. Wistawa ya. O te ni ganwa helge tohta ikotske. Tawa we mi ayak. Kan stohta moon. Tante e pe oti. E wako ta hayak. E wama kai ka wangis ksia. E wama ta toskeu no. Ni nana mota kapia pisto se esta pue. Ni nanan maya tan sawaya. E waya ki tok masko. We otama tan mamo kamamo wigi ako tawas taskam. E wama en haiga naga tehtami aswat skeuna. E go mai mam skota mustik. E go ngange go e kaspota moya wistawa e mi wasini. Sa stoge pets nawe onigani wag. Ota etta kohta koya. Ano tsomme gwats. Pets nawe e go pame samaga masnahmi. E go nigmi no etta kohta koya. Kanana asko moya mi no. Moama kakke eiska kaki semua moam kakke po kan totama ya ki ko kananas como ya han ki ko ya sawem gosia e wa maya e dino te mam skota mata ko magaya maskoti sio tsenia uniga nio e pizza hawi ano tahaya ni staga pen tohta mage an magaya minaya ka keskso kemoa ki kwao mai mamo kamaton Mitse to og mamsko skateo. Tan sa meugo snago hego tanehke. Eu no ta gwen stohtama. O sa moiga ki piego kamato. Sa sto ta okama. Okama ulo so. E so kapout asko man mo te papia kapout. E go tse mamo kamato mo e mo te go. Poga meska skihta ja kamui tihto ja ohtstau. So with that, my name is Kurt Buffalo. I'm from Samson. I'm really thankful that we're here, and this is a teaching moment. We're here to teach our history, we're here to teach who we are, and we're here to teach those important things that Creator put us on Mother Earth with. We're here to teach, as Regina mentioned, that treaty piece. Our treaty is with the Crown. It's not with Canada. It's our people. Treaties can only be signed between sovereign nations. Canada wasn't even in existence. So those are things we need to remember. Those are the things we need to teach as we move forward. We come here to talk about cooperation, collective movement. And that is hard sometimes, because all our conditions are a little different. We all have the same problems. We can spend weeks, months talking about problems, right? But there's a lot of solutions in this room. And part of it is having these kids here so they can listen. I was once told that by one of my teachers, how are children never going to learn our language if they never hear it? So we speak our language first. So here today, we want to make sure that they understand what that critical path is, because this is a teaching moment. The work we do, fighting for those treaty rights and making sure that everybody understands and that those international pieces are looked after as well. At Samson, we've done a lot of work in treaty protection, but also we've done a lot of work in the international arena. We've intervened on our behalf as well as others. Samson and the 4 nations, we were instrumental in the United Nations declarations on the rights of Indigenous people. We fought literally over 27 years to have that document done. And that's our protection. It reinforces who we are. It reinforces our own ability to govern ourselves. It also helps us reinforce things like treaty, articles of treaty. So those are teaching moments we need to teach here. Again, you're going to hear when we were in court in England what Lord Denning said. and why that was important, that if you ever have a problem again, doors open, always come back. It was because of the Constitution, it was because of Section 35, and how they thought it was an empty box. I was reminded by my elder over here, where's Albert, this morning, that prior to 1951, those treaty cards had everything listed on there. All our rights, everything that we had rights to, treaty rights. And in 1951, they were spilled out, and then we became statutory Indian Act. Those are things that we need to teach, and you'll hear more of those today. So when I get the mic, I tend to ramble on because there's so much up here, and it's a sharing and a teaching moment. But with that, let's have some good discussion, some good dialogue, and let's share as much information amongst each other as possible. Multimedia, Facebook, TikTok, all those things are good things, and it should be filled with really good things. None of this, I'm having a bad day kind of thing, right? Because what you put out into the world is what you get back. Put nothing but love, honor, and trust out into the world, and that's what you'll get. Sagi now, hi, hi.
Nistani kan kakio tatamskat nao. Mina nask mau tawi no hasime ko takiska me awiku e hotanots. Kapen tuota magia. Mina ogi mau nask mau Louis. Kakio in tumgo e hota kapewi tabaya. Kwel stuta ma ruma. Tama matun. Mino ko sky ko takatagute etsik. In a stomach. Magagi Wednesday, I meet Tataman. Kinesu Taniste Gepe, Vichihuan. We said Managite got a Yepchik. Kakiogun in a Catagua. XP Utaha Gepian, Ogmakanuyan. Kisingi Goy Gitea, Moimiota, Kinipo. Iminum gua tanse gues ka tutama tanse ke satuskia anu tsego ego mono apahten minagi te hep de yepsik na way ego no go spogana ceremonies I give him by tats ego yo what the skill no ego rig mi nego magi way te awano moi michet makista no pogo que se haga mismo moi ga pomia kaso gehtama ego ngista no gi pes na katabago te pamatun gite que pe vita magonog o teni ganu ema ano cheo ko apate no mi set ki we igo maskam goya maganista naga asimon sami setu to skaya moin stutamok. First of all, geez, I must be getting old. You know, I sat with this guy as chief, when he was a chief. And Chief Phyllis, her mom was a chief, sat with her, and her brother was a chief, I sat with him, and now her in leadership. And I sat with Chief Lehman's dad as a chief. So I had a lot of good teachers, and I sat with Chief Lewis when he was chief, and I was chief as well. So when I look back, I had a lot of great teachers that fought really hard for us. But before I start, I want to thank the elders for their ceremony this morning that lifted up the pipe to pray for us so that we can all come together. Because today, as we all know, it's getting tougher And that was the prediction of our elders. In the future, it's going to get a lot tougher. And we see that today, what the government is trying to do. You hear this government today is already doing cutbacks on us, on First Nations. Right across the board, I think it's, what, 12% or more that they're cutting back. And they're going to be cutting 12% for the next 5 years. And you look at the nations right across Canada, there's over 600 nations. And you just think, in 5 years, what are we going to be getting? How much money is for each First Nation going to be getting? Already, today we see it. We're not getting enough. And all our nations, our populations are growing. You talk about membership. You know, I have nothing against the Bill C-31s or all the other rest of the bills. But it's the government that's putting everybody in our lists on First Nations without consulting the leadership or the members of our communities. I think we should be the ones telling the government who our members are, who should be our members. Today, you look at Salt Lake, you know, we have a population of over 12,000 members. And that's a lot of members. And yet, today we probably only get 50% of the funding because we didn't accept the Bill C-31 funding yet. But those were the recommendations from our elders at that time, not to take the money till we decide as leaders and the people of our community to decide who's going to be full members or not. And that's the battle that all communities are having, not only Salt Lake. You know, when I look back, when I first got in '89, probably those were the best years of my life in leadership. We didn't have cell phones. We just had a phone in the office and a phone at home. A lot of us didn't have phones. So we had to go visit as leaders, visit the people, our people. We had to go visit them. And we were always welcomed as leaders when we went and visit. Today, it's so different. People can't even come to us as leaders. Yet they put us down on Facebook with rumors, gossip. And that's what's killing our communities today. All of a sudden you hear this community, this chief and councillor stealing so much money. And yet, on the other hand, we fight every day for every dollar to come into our communities, to support these young people. You look at our post-secondary education, we're only allowed to sponsor so many people now. And the rest can't get into post-secondary because we don't have the money. These are the things we need to battle as chiefs, and we need your support. Because it is a treaty right for education. And I think every child, as soon as they're born, has that treaty right till the day that they die on education. We have that right. So no matter how old you are, you have that right to for education. And same thing with our health. You know, we met with the government a couple of weeks ago, and I asked a question. If I'm paying insurance, health insurance, how come they have to pay it first before you guys? Indian Affairs should be the first payer of everything, not our insurance. But that's what they're doing to us. And yet, if you don't have the insurance, you have to pay for a lot of things now. And these are some of the things that our elders always reminded us to battle that, to fight for our people, because a lot of our people can't afford it. Let's all work together. And if we don't work together, we're all going to be picked off one by one, different communities. And you heard the Chief Layman say on some of these agreements that are coming down, you really have to read them. You have to fine comb a lot of these agreements now today. Same with us, we didn't take the cows and plows. And yet, our nation's Sad Lake was amalgamated with 4 bands. There was Blue Kull, Wasatnaw, Little Hunter, and Seenam. And 2 bands, Wasatnaw and Blue Kull, never ever got cows and plows. You know what the government is trying to offer us? Just for those 2 bands to take that money, $1.5 million. Because you're telling us they had small populations when they were moved from those communities. I think Wasatnaw only had about 400 members and about 300 members with Blue Kull. So those are the populations they're trying to use. And they figure we're going to accept that money. But on the other hand, yes, you heard Chief Layman say, we're not going to sign it as well. Unless it's ongoing for the future of our generations. When you look at that, that includes a lot of things. When one of the kids talked about fishing right, hunting rights, it all includes into that cows and plows. Because that's where we used to get our ammunition, snares, nets, and everything. Now, if we start signing all those things off, these kids will never get anything again, or their kids. It's a done deal. And this is one of the things you have to be really take care of our kids for the future, that they can be in the same situation as us, even though that the government is trying to cut a lot of things. So I better quit talking here. Aye.
We weren't rushing you there, Eddie. Well, that as far as leadership, we're not doing it on purpose. That we want to do a couple of acknowledgments with you'd probably noticed the kids who had done their walk from Sigascooch High School, where they left this morning, made their way all the way to the treaty grounds from Sigascooch High School, and they are over on the north side here of the big tent, Nanaskumawak. Each year, we're going to bring those flags in. Each year they do this walk, and Wistawao, Ebmsasitos Kagik, Ebmsasitos Kagik, Tipamatuna, Asutsigiona. So we're going to ask them to bring the flags in and the flag staffs in and utatawe nanto tas te waputsi minotanawe. I think last year we tied them up to the posts back here, yeah. Hi, once again, the Siga Scooch the Siga Scooch flag, the Biwasenagwan, Kihil Whatston, Chief Taylor, I believe, too, as well, and Kihil Whatston. All the schools that we have on the Onion Lake Cree Nation, we are very blessed. And all the youth who had done the walk with the flags. We're going to ask our elder to do a thank you prayer for having a safe walk. Hi, thank you very much. Well, we'll take those flags and we'll put them up on these poles. Just take your direction from the guys over there. So again, just to continue on with our agenda this morning, we still have the leadership panel that we're going to be doing. And also, I just got word that the food had been brought in. So I believe the children have already brought their lunches. Our elders and our visitors, we will get the food ready. And once that's done, we'll take a brief break. So as far as the leadership panel is concerned, I think we'll just kind of hold off on that until after dinner, after lunch. Our not selected, but our leadership that are here in attendance will be part of the leadership panel. That we'll have some questions that we can ask, and we'll see where we go with the answers that Onikani will give us. Just while we do have a little bit of time to as well, I just want to acknowledge how usually when we have these meetings here at Fort Pitt, a couple of our technicians, our elders, and our leaders are not here, and one in particular is Ron Lehman. Wiamek Watts, he had a surgery, but I hear he's doing all right now. And so that's the reason why he is not here today. Us Jimina, usually at our Fort Pitt gathering, we have AJ Felix, who is always here too as well. Tapmsito Skagwa, who was here with us to give us strength, and he was here up until this morning. He had some family responsibilities, let's just put it that way, family responsibilities that he had to go home for. So again, I hope both Ron and AJ are having a safe travel. First off, as AJ goes home, and Ron a speedy recovery. Unless Sogamau has any other ideas that we can do while we wait for the food, I think the food is just about ready. Should we just go ahead and take a break for now? And we'll do that. We'll take a quick break. Again, just as soon as we get word that the food is ready, we'll have the elders and leadership and visitors line up to go and feed themselves. So we'll take a brief break, and we'll do a call back afterwards. We have water that's going to be delivered here too as well. There are just some things that kind of get overlooked, but we will have water this afternoon. If somebody gets thirsty, we'll have that water available on the corners around here. For now, I believe there's still coffee at the far corner, and which is to sige na masoy go gisto away gote eksaga kitote na wa.
We do have our Skapeusak here setting up tables, so Skapeusak, maybe you can set them in the back over there, those tables. We're going to have to move some chairs here shortly. Good. Just put them in the back side. On this side, we're going to have to ask people to move to open the... Yeah, I see. So we'll be moving in tables. I know people want to eat on the table, so we'll have some tables there as well. We will be getting water here shortly. One of the things we forgot is the water. So water will be coming here soon, maybe within the hour. If you need water, you're going to have to go down by the river. Just kidding. We'll get water here, but there's coffee and tea, as Vern said. So shortly here, we'll get everything organized. I know it's been a long day yesterday with ceremony as well with Chief. It's always an awesome day yesterday. Early morning start, and we got everything done for the ceremonial purposes for this gathering. So I hope you're enjoying the dialogue from the chiefs. They will be sitting down in a panel here shortly. We have questions here that we'll be questioning the chiefs here in regards to the concerns that are going on as they express themselves in that manner, and we will talk and dialogue and debate on some of these issues that are happening here in for First Nations in Canada, as they talked about the how we need to be working together with alliances and keep fighting for a good cause. I know.
Lacuna.
Just wondering if we're gonna need a.
I think we need to add more programs into our education system. Talking about trees and also First Nations and be citizens of our office does a lot of work like that. Our key governance law office, we do a lot of work extensively working with leadership and also other communities, other nations. If they need assistance, we're glad to hear about it. So lunch break.
Check 1 2. Check 1 2. Mic check.
I am not sure if you are able to hear Vernon Lewis, but right now we are currently having a lunch break here at Fort Pitt. On today, it is September 8th, and I believe about almost, let's see here, it is 2025, and the treaties were signed in. Yes, you guessed it, 1876. That was almost 150 years ago, 149 years to be exact. And there have been two signings of the treaty. One here in Fort Pitt, that was September 9th, and then one in Fort Carlton last month, or I believe 2 weeks ago, which was 23rd and the 28th of August. So Fort Carlton first, Fort Pitt here. And it was between the Crown and the tribes of Treaty 6 here around Fort Pitt area. I believe that is Cree, Plains Cree, Stony Cree. So the key figures here that were signing in Fort Pitt involved in negotiations, which was Alexander Morris, Lieutenant Governor of Manitoba and the Northwest Territories, James McKay, the Minister of Agriculture of Manitoba, and William J. Christie, a chief factor of the Hudson's Bay Company, as well as Chief Mistawasis, Chief Atatkoop, represented Carleton Cree. So the agreement was between the Crown and the Plains and Woods Cree, the Anishinaabe, Assiniboine, my fault, and the other band governments at Fort Carlton and Fort Pitt. So thank you all so much for tuning in. Let me switch over to another camera just to keep it nice and light. As you can see, we are here at the tent we got here set up. Hi, how's it going? I'm producing this. I produced the one yesterday while they were having OLCN Scouts Camp. But right now we're going to be here at Fort Pitt today, tomorrow, I believe maybe the next day. September 10th is when we pack up. Hope you guys are having a great Monday. Yesterday it was very hot. It is 1:11 here. And I gotta say, it is very nice out here in Fort Pitt. It is very, I feel very special being here because there is so much history here within our land and our surrounding areas. There was a couple of battles here. And this is where we also negotiated. I believe there was also burnings of Fort Pitt when we rebelled against them. And, we still have that fire in us. And this is the reason why we are here today at Fort Pitt, to keep those teachings, the history alive, and to know where we came from and where we're going to be going. Because this is very important for us, especially as Nehil. We are a community. We are for ourselves. And yes, so we are here if you all want to come in, sit down, enjoy us. We have a couple of people surrounding us, and it feels nice here. Lunch break is still going underway. I'm not sure what they have. I think the rest they have is just potatoes now. So I seen that they had bannock, they had moose meat, and all of that. It was amazing. So come out and join.
Tehtiin. Jaksen tohtane vatsike kaakana ke tatte kawa huoska uitana. Ei saw a squirrel. Look dumb. Ego na eo tegiks tegaan me naihkok. No moema kekta tegi mitso enoman taita pa piks kaatago. Na eo moote. Egi astama tegi oppiki tamataan mitossa. Eskoa, kektama ginaat. Keka samtin. Pihti vanot. Kaasmana airplane ka pusin. Kiki hattavain wine. Hepsaski muutja pisksa. Ektoegi kakana vaihtamaan ästeegi. Peg motneen. Muivian peanut sektaki happuok. Egon minä peanuts tuot naukei kohviagans. Ekta. Muiviano. Siihen eno mekta homma. Vainomatta. Te veppä hel. Hei. Kia. Epe tämä tanom ta mitsin na mitse. Tämä genaatin. Pe mitso. Ne te vaikka tohtaan täjäppäneen vaikka kana apmak. Kahki joka ne hiauja taks kehtämme kahki joki vai. Ne uki vaik tuotenano. Ne o. Ke taas kun keak. Ne o jakket sen taas kun kanano. Kiikointo tämä. Oma kian omkaan ne hiauja. Pukuki vai. Ne o. Ne o. Apukaa kymä aika oppisun. 1, 2, 3, 4. Ne uki vai. Tätä kaap makane. Penitsuet. Penäkiit. Ne vaave penäkiit on me puttihtaa kan mitään kassama kan. Mä treutit näet pekeksei saama työ kiessuutta. Saimin yksi. Kapeksei tahkamks. Ke tahtoen kana apmaa. Mä kam nää. Moiko penäki unevau. Suus kaats penitsue, suus kaatsan. Mä ton tia poi kiskue pet. Moiko ei kiamat työ kiessuutti saa suus kun kettana. Tatitota, niin eukkaa vihtamataan, ei vihti katsiin. Päättektä mitsoin päätti kantaa niin kuin ei anoma. Äksin ponemaan. Se pon paapuut sitskään ketätö eppe eviä uinoki nipo ajapi taek. Ajapi taeki nipo. Tän tiene kisköpet. Kun tom seitota kun tsitsis. Kun tämä on om seitot. Se puhe no temni kuet. Egon me hatsimuanan. Egon pega. Mä kävin oma. Evis puette ähum. Skon. Ngan sagi ano mitaka ikä mitosakin sagi on. Ai tapi anote. Mä trepekas teoskak. Ei mä kiskak. Ei mä kiskak. Teet. No kain totta. No se on hastike. Ei mä kiskak oma. Jok tuomattua. Te tapuno mektaas joktaan teepen. Egon ette. Eki maailman sige anmane kanat sige anekte. Tätä ekte kaap mak gophers ei maa me toitsk. Nianan. Te pam kiesut. Ke tätä ka nakitsk. Ei nipte ka poutkum siis. Peganem siktet. Ei vana niigana. Ei ni poutskan kom se takana. Om smaa nehto. O tema nehto. Om siis smaa nehto. Kapeuksa. Kahki on taka kuistaa yksi. On se totta. Tuo pihtuvan. Täppänä seimeenä käy. Tulee 1 hour. Avi nuoma. Tän tämä kuoma kävi mai kiskak. Makikoi. Sääki on alkaa. E matausi ane koe mite wa pahtaman. Yo, maki koe. Nothing but blue sky. Saute tapia nekte. Mä trepin kaskeoskoak. Namoi tapuet tene kohana. Ekun kan. Ei viikatte astaat kamakai mai kiskaak. Iko kema mahtaustana go furna. Ekun häni hettu ane uit. Tuantiottaa simse uitsi kottana kihtee. Ekun ammatta nähkä teittämeikä. Kihtee muok tawitsi haiko kanke. Muetama me toakat taivok. Tawitsi haiko kiwei totta. Aha, ekse.
Thank you very much, Elder Albert. He just told us the story about how he tried to drown a fish. The other one was getting a squirrel drunk. And then that one where the gophers were clearing the skies for us too as well. Hawiak katak pamoisip mamatsi taya, one of our local elders, utapek pekwatsigapuho, Noma. Cutest kid. Hand this over to.
Good afternoon, Totemtik. Huwag we at Makinsugos. Egimni West Kitchagashaya, Lewis Plain. Hutamoy Ochena, Suma for a million a stamta. Ektegi week chick. Got chicken coop, chicken eggy awa chick. Got a cheaper chicken guaya. Cheaper so a pinat chicken hip bread. When I got to Cannot them niwa chicken wine. Caspute chicken went to Nata kickback. Exit the good whatever. Kawap machikan ekte mochewi, tenak squat them, rooster necta, empit te mewak. Eso me go pay, exipito hewak. Te pale wanta hewak. Equa Naspa panewa, Kawaki tutanaya, rooster, cock doodle doo, eso me go pit. Wage topenke wage wa chicken na kagum nagne sweshi chicken. He go pet gap it.
Willard Gegets Namat Nan. Take this to that old man with the hand.
Yksi jumma. Ajo, atse makaja. Onko maahan? Uskai siinä on. Pehtama ja Indian Affairs viita kuhteet. Ypen pikska tekot sekä skiohtseet land. Onko maahan on mä kuin muu. Muimsteik skeitam kikoilla ja skiohtse. Tätä spait peikseini soukseini ja ei niitä käsimotte on muimanagi koima naituet. Eikö niitä toki samaa tau. Mam siitä taataan Indian Affairs yhtä kohti ok. Askiipe mam skotahik. Eikö muikestaan skeite niitä namaa ne mam siitä taataan kiehtä pepiksi kotatsk. Ta voi. Okei, just there late okseini sa se. Eikä kun tapeeksi aina manna puu. Mohti tokseinis. Mä ajattelin. Sieltä sen aina manna. Mä traganatat. You know what? You always come here to try to take our land. You'll never take it. Onko mä hanoa mohtit? Hei. Muja kohan nao. Kekap mapsik. On mä muja oo. Nää kun on welfare kamigoja. Oh, You know what? We love it when you guys come around here. I wish you could stay longer. Look at this, Miss Couture. Here you go. Go, yeah. Kutako, yeah, Chamaga, yeah. Munyo, if Mokochi. Oh, Matney here. Sarapegin, I the horse. I got him death up chicken sauce, Sarani. Oh, Munya, Sarok, Tepo. Hey, look at that old man giving the kids right. Tabu, Spayo. Tabu, Neo Tabu, Tam Munya, Saran Pante, Tapi, Pasarapegin, Satamo. Ex Munya, Gatamo, Tatum. Tapu, which me, would you sell this horse? I don't know. This horse don't look good. Though. It don't matter the way it looks. If you want to sell it, I'll buy him. The kids want him. All right. Don't need your dog. You know them. Next day, Munya got to wait. Hey, that horse you sold me is blind. I told you it don't look good. That's why I lead him around. I think I can mamma no teatro te no peg nu teatro te ta muito grande to Kseni so ja Megin by me to skate his wife ne still around dance sky te sporte tota hat ing mangana oh gaki me tam pampichi to isko dat kan ta weta ja red is na nik pronegen. Oh, sistema, so mi kossa reiga kioniskon. Jo, tätä mä tömstöisi. Spahtauk siin, is jo. Nakattaskeo, hardat taga jo niskosan. Aks, näin noke ok. Aks siin iso iti mio haja po. Papu na. Tätä vapahtaan, ettei pun katte ikottavas kaikan itimi. Nyt ei tohtia. Aks siin iso ja pio. Niin siksi nu. Mistä he nu innan paheiten nuttu koimoga nagaset. Ja vahoapan maato ja anoma. Aiman niin siksi nu. Mä oon miu nohto teokin nuttu koim. Tätä mä trapem snimiitat sukulte. Niin siksi nu. Heek tea saine te petse moo. Tätä mä tramiikse muitom siis. Tap maato. Sitten kaikki teitä hakin nakastoa. Muin yhteen lastuoltama. Ja kun sitten kaikki teitä hakin nakastoa, te pitää tehdä myyntöä aina. Tuona niin kanssa, mutta mikä on. Ja kun saa nähdä, ksei niissä nähdä. Acceptamos, kun matsi äsken on tuossa kaikki on tapoi true story show.
Hi, thank you very much, Willard. Miasin, mitse taagip mo vitamaguna no miasik tap papape. Egoi gisga kispoja. Tene kiapits maga mauyak tagi paskea tau se otau neckbone shine contest kaya. So I got tamamatitana no kawe. We'll get back to the agenda. Sigaskuch High School. If there are any students left, I know your bus spin at 1:30 Gagisapwete Egoma. So Sigaskuch High School students, your bus is probably just getting ready to leave right now. You best hurry up. Leadership panel mamatsitana no. Oniganiwak, those who had been asked to participate in the leadership panel. Chief Gary Layman, Beaver Lake Chief Phyllis Whitford, Astamik, come and sit in the front over here. Chief Joey Pete, if you're still around, kistami nakentumgoan, penigana peote. Minor Chief Regina Crowchild from the Sutina First Nation, if we could have you make your way over to the front too as well. And Councillor Eddie Makokis, Sad Lake Otse. Astamgi stepe niga pe ya pigote in the front. We're gonna we'll open the floor to the public to ask the questions. And if there's not any questions, I do have some prepared too as well that we can ask. So leadership was stomach, pay a pick.
So all chiefs, come on down to the front table. Chiefs, headmen, some of the counselors that are here as well from other nations, come on down to the head table here. We will get some chairs readily available for you. Maybe we'll play musical chairs, I don't know. I'll just put some tables here. You can sit anywhere you want. We have a few chiefs here and headmen. Astamik, come on down to the head in the front of the table here. Chief Joey Pete, I don't know where you are, but I told him a good hunting spot. He might have went there. We'll just get all the chief and counselors here to come sit up here a bit. Oh, there he is. There's Joey. "25 minutes, all Eagle View students. In 25 minutes, you'll be leaving here shortly. So I believe we can start this panel, Vern. We got a few questions for leadership, and you can ask the questions. I'll get the mic ready on the floor. So we'll do it that way.
All righty. Hi, Leon. We have a question on the floor.
Oh, we have a question on the floor. Hold on. I'll be right there. I think I'm going to lose weight here.
Just so we understand the types of questions that are expected as with our leadership that is here, and now would be a good time to ask the leadership what are some of the urgent issues that you may have that they could deal with, and what they are doing in terms of how they're dealing with these issues too as well. So we'll keep it that way. So ask your question, and we will have our elders and our leaders here at the front try to answer that question.
Thank you. Itlanet esalot in Judy Ness Hushese Shlochak 12. My name is Judy Ness. My spirit name is Notogo Dayogan. I'm from Coal Lake. The question I have, or comment, I have two. One of them is how are we as treaty people going to deal with the matter of the alcohol and drugs in our communities? We need to come together as all treaty people to deal with this matter. So that is one question. The other one is, you know that the Premier is talking about separating Alberta from the rest of Canada and trying to make us a state in the United States. A couple of weeks ago, we had our powwow in Coal Lake, and there was a couple of people sitting at putting your name down to sign to go against that. I think there's enough treaty people in Canada. That's the same way that the Premier is wanting to get Alberta to separate us, to get signatures from all Albertans. But I think that if we can do this together, and all nations, treaty nations can do the same thing, do a signatory to say for us to leave it. That's just a suggestion, but I'd like to hear some comments if we could from leadership. Masi.
Go ahead, Chief.
The second one, I can maybe kind of talk about that one. The Alberta government, they first of all started off with passing their Sovereignty Act. Sovereignty Act, you got mama. But what we're doing about that is we're litigating. Only Lake is litigating because it all stems to that separation. Because they're saying that the federal government are interfering too much with their work, so that they're limited on what they can do with the resources, and that's what I mean by the Sovereignty Act. They're claiming resources officially and legally through that act, but right now, yes, we're kind of waiting for the next move. We kind of told them that we're litigating. That's the first one. That's what we're doing about that. The first one, that's a big problem that we have, not only on our nation. How do we deal with that? First of all, we try and get rid of the drug dealers. First of all, because it's impacting us. They're feeding the innocent people. That's the first goal, is to try and get all the drug dealers out. We all know that the BCR don't have an impact now. RCMP can enforce that. So what we're doing is through we are trying to implement our own tribal police force, which can do the work in terms of BCRs. Because I know it's a foot in the door, and I kind of don't agree with the way we're doing it, because my guys, it's the foot in the door just to get rid of so they can enforce the BCRs. I'll tell you that much. Some gods, right now we're having a big problem with a taxi company, Viper, in Lloydminster, that delivering drugs, and we had told him that we are BCR you out. You're under BCR. You're not allowed anymore. It's not really having an effect, even though it does a little bit. So in terms of the people that are harboring, the people that are harboring within our nation, we have policy, housing policy that's officially. We can give them warning. That's what homeowner. We give them a warning. That's what you're harboring. If you don't harbor, you'll have to evict you from the house. Okay, so these are things that we've been trying to do, but I know it's going to be something that's hard, but we really need to put our foot down, because our young people are going ahead instead of our elders, and it should be the other way around.
Thank you, Chief. Any other chiefs want to express their concerns to the questions?
Mr. Makokis.
Mr. Makokis and Chief Phyllis here, Whitford, after.
Yeah, last week we met with Health Canada in Edmonton, the leadership of Sad Lake, and that was one of the things we brought up, was the alcohol and drugs, what's happening in our community. So we decided that and told them we're going to call a state of emergency for our community. But I think if all communities were to call, all the leadership were to call a state of emergency for every community, I think the government would, and the RCMP would listen to us. Because right now, we have RCMP and we try and enforce things, but they won't do it unless they have a court injunction on them. Even the houses that we build, You know, we tell them those are band homes. You can go in there. And they said, no, we can't. They're renting from you guys, so we just can't break into those homes. So we're caught in a lot of ways, and but I think we all called a state of emergency for every community. I think we at least we would move things forward as leaderships right across Treaty 6.
Thank you for posing that question. I too am recognize that it is a problem. It's definitely impacted our nation as well. We have a lot of drug addiction, alcohol addiction. We have gangs that are trying to move in, and they're preying on our young people. We're no different. We have that challenge. We have a lot of unnecessary deaths, suicide, overdoses, and it all stems back to the root of the problem. In my opinion, that the root of the problem is our children are disconnected. Our children don't have enough connection to who we are as First Nation people. You know, I think about the gangs. Why do our children go to the gangs? Because they're lacking identity. They go to the gangs so they can have a place where they can belong, a place where they can identify themselves in a group. If our First Nations can come together and have healthy identities and healthy connections, I think about historically, we never had those problems. Why didn't we have those problems? Because we all spoke our languages. We all had our ceremonies. We had our own purpose. And we had a really good understanding of who we were as First Nations. We need to get back. We're all adults, and we have a big responsibility to our youth. We need to start exercising that true identity as we understand ourselves. I think about the creation stories. I think about the ceremonies, the 4 directions. I think about our clan systems. If our children were taught and begin to teach them, they'll start feeling good about who they are as First Nation people. We need to get back to that. And our culture is a very nurturing value system. You know, let's get back to the, who we are as original people, and just maybe we'll tackle that, tackle that problem that's destroying our families and our nations. I struggle as well, but there's prayer, there's ceremonies, there's smudge. We understand that as Ochis that it's a negative. Anything negative will destroy what is good. Gossip destroys what is good. People fighting amongst each other, people trying to overpower one another. Who's right, who's wrong, who has more power. All those, I'm sure all our communities face the same challenges that Ochis does. But I think if we can all humble ourselves and work together, our young people have that great possibility of having a better life into the future. And I just wanted to share a story about the separatism. I for one, I'm going to Geneva to the UN. I made a submission at the international level to fight the fight, because our treaty is bigger than Canada. It's international law. And so I asked the chiefs that, to put together a document, a press release, so we can all sign on. And I will be there. I will make that submission. I think we have a few of the other First Nations coming. I thought long and hard about going. I was very hesitant to go because I have so many priorities at home. But if I don't fight that fight, Canada wins, and then we'll lose our treaty at the nation level. So I thought long and hard about that. I spoke to different people what I need to do. I'm gonna go out there. I will hand in that submission and work hard at trying to make Canada accountable and put them in their spot. I believe Onion Lake and a few others, excuse me, I don't really know which other nations are coming, but we need to align ourselves. We have a strong alliance, and we need to keep working together to assert our right. People forget that treaty is powerful. We just gotta know that power. We gotta quit being oppressed. We gotta get away from that attitude. We have so much power that the Creator gave us through the treaty. Let's assert it. Let's find it and let's assert ourselves. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief Whitford. We'll now go down the line to Minor Chief Regina Crowchild. You can use that. Okay.
Thank you. Alcohol and drug addictions are common in all reserves. And I'll just give you what my thinking is with respect to dealing with it. I went to a residential school. My parents went to a residential school. In those schools, they forbid us to learn about our culture, our traditions, our moral values, our responsibilities as Indians. I'll say Indians because that's who they thought they were dealing with. But we know that in everything that Canada does is to get rid of us. And that's because they assume title to our territories and our natural resources above and below surface, and our territories including the waters. But anyway, in those residential schools, the children that were in there were not allowed to learn about their traditions and their value systems, their ceremonies and that. So because they used to say the residential schools is to take the Indian out of the child, meaning our identity and our responsibilities, our moral values, our traditions and customs. So our peoples didn't know that. And they didn't have that opportunity. And then there was so much abuse in the residential schools. And then when they came out of the residential schools, not knowing all of this of who they are and their history, their responsibilities, Canada had introduced alcohol to all of us. And that's because at one point, one case, Dry Bones case, it's called Dry Bones case, that Indian challenged Canada why we're not allowed to have alcohol. That was discriminatory to our peoples. So Canada took it out of the Indian Act. Came out of the Indian Act, and then all the bars and the liquor stores were open to the people. So when they came out of residential schools, Because our people didn't have mental health services to deal with the hurts that they experienced during residential school, they turned to alcohol. They started drinking. Then they became addicts. Then they had families. They had children. And that continued. You call it intergeneration. That's what happened. So their kids and their kids following didn't understand who they were, their ceremonies, their customs, their traditions, their responsibilities. So it just continued. Now it's drugs. And yes, and they were lost because they didn't know their identity. So that continued. Now, and as a result, we have a lot of addicts on reserve and off reserve. We have many people living in the cities or in the towns that are homeless because we don't have homes, or they felt disconnected and they belong to, like the chief said, you know, they wanted to become a part of a group, to belong someplace. So we look at that today. And I'll just share what we do at home. You know, when an addict wants change, they have to want it. Once they want that, you have to take that step right away and set them up in a treatment center. That's what we've been doing. And we've been sending our people to many places, including BC, northern Alberta, southern Alberta, where they would go for treatment once they asked for help. You can't wait. And I know through the health system, the Department of Health, you have to wait. And many a times they fall back into they start drinking or taking drugs. So at home, as soon as we know that, we send them off. I have a grandson who was an alcoholic. He was taking drugs. He was selling drugs. Because we're adjacent to the city of Calgary, and it's easily accessible. One day he said, "Grandma, I want help." He lost his family. His wife and him split up. His wife had the children. And he said, "I want help." So right away I took it to Chief and Council. And Chief and Council said, "Yes, find a treatment center for him." So we send him to Kelowna. And they usually keep them for 30 days. But towards the end of the 30 days, he said, "I'm not ready. I want to stay longer." So he was able to stay longer. And it's expensive. We did that to many other people. He stayed longer. He came out because he really wanted help. He came out. He got his children back. He's been sober now for 8 years. He's working. He's looking after his family. But that's not all that we had to do. He's in our family. We, as family members, had to give him that support and make sure that he's not in an environment where he can easily go back into the drugs or into alcohol. We, as parents, have responsibilities, and as grandparents, to assist them and to help them and teach them our culture, our traditions, our moral values, our responsibilities, that they belong to the family. That way, they don't get lost. They go back. We have many that are in the city, but many of them have come back. Today, and through in the province, they allowed us to have a treatment center. So it's being built now. And my grandson is a foreman there building that center because he believed that's where he got help, was through the treatment in BC. So he wants to help our kids. And his son is working with him. He works there, and we're going to have detox there as well. And then they're going to deal with alcohol and drugs. So we can do that. But we cannot always leave it to the government to deal with these. We have that responsibility to make our children belong, that they're happy in their environment. That we have to do. We've cut down a lot of the addictions on our reserve, and we've closed down some houses where the drugs were coming in, where the people were getting drugs from. We shut them down. They were not allowed, boarded them up. And now, there's a couple that have gone through treatment, have done looking after their kids. Now they're back in their homes. Their homes were renovated so they could have a clean home, a good home. So that's how we're dealing with it. We do not allow, it's supposed to be drug-free, alcohol-free. We do not allow drugs as best as we can. We have our own police force who stop regularly, check all the roads, and make sure that they stop all those people bringing in drugs and alcohol. Mind you, some of our people go to the city and they get it. You can't stop it, saying everything's going to go right. You can stop it now because it's up to the people. So this is where, and the young people, this is where our responsibilities as parents and grandparents come in, so we can assist them and make them feel belong in our communities. And pray. It's so important to pray, to teach them how to pray, whether it's the traditional way of prayer in our ceremonies, or whether they go to churches. They need that guidance. They need to gain strength through prayer and our help with them. Also, we have a casino on the reserve. We found out that not drugs and alcohol, but our young people, our young girls, were into, trafficking? They traffic young people. And I hate to say this, but it's those East Indians or those people that come from other countries. Sex trafficking for our young women. And if they come out of the casino and if they're drinking and they're alone, it's so easy for them to get into a cab to go home and they're taken away. So our police and the casino are working together. They started this task force along with the city to watch out for that, and they have a plan. And just recently, they charged 8 people for those women, young girls. They're going to court now, and hopefully they'll never come back. So we're doing everything we can to stop it. We had workers in our Health of Living that went into the city, looked for our peoples in the city, and tried and get them to come home, bring them back home again, or get them into treatment. But the important thing is they have to feel valuable, they have to feel good about themselves, that they want help. And then they can, someone asks for help, we do it. But it had west on the land, where we feel that when they're out to heal much better. So that's how we're doing it. And it's not 100% cure, but at least we're doing that. But we as individuals, and that's so important, that you support your kids and your grandchildren to make them feel belong to the family and learn their traditions and their customs, their value systems, their responsibilities. So we do have some success, but we still have some that are out on the street, and it's very difficult. Sometimes you bring those kids home. They stay home, they eat, they clean up, they stay in the home for all, and then they go back. They disappear and go back into the city. But you just have to make sure that you keep trying to tell them your doors are open and they're welcome back into the community. So now we're going to be celebrating all those kids that have recovered, that are off drugs and alcohol. So you're going to do things for them to acknowledge them and support them. And what was the other question? Oh, Daniel Smith. I'd like to have a few minutes alone with that woman, I tell you. You know, she put the Sovereignty Act in. Now she's going to do a referendum. And she's got some people that are supporting her. But you know what? But the court said, one of the courts said, you have to talk to her. They went to court, someone challenged her. You have to talk to the Indians. We have to remember all of our territories were not ceded or surrendered. We have to take that responsibility to let them know. If they want to separate, they can leave, which will be great. But our territories are not going with them. The other thing, too, is Canada granted self-government to the Métis. Now that they've got self-government, they have their own constitution. They're going to want land, so we have to keep track of that. Because you know what? Even though they have their descendants, the women are descendants of our communities, whether they're Cree, Blackfoot, Sioux, or whatever. They are our descendants. But we remember, at treaty making, the Métis were offered treaty. They chose to take scrip. They got the money. So they got no lands. There's no lands that were recognized for them. But Daniel Smith is now trying to separate. This is where, and I'm so thankful to the Chief Okima Lewis and others that wrote that letter, or they took action to tell them, no, you cannot take our territories. These are our territories. Also, the chiefs did write some time ago to the Premier, to the heads of government, state, and the premiers, that we never surrendered or ceded our territories and that they have no authority to take our treaties away. Remember, the treaty doesn't give us authority. We already had that as our inherent rights. The treaty protects our inherent rights. We had a right to government. We had a right to lawmaking authority. We had the right to our own justice system, our right of self-determination. That belongs to us, and that's supposed to be protected by treaty. And Canada is not our treaty partner, but they're taking it away because of their assumed title to our territories. And now you'll hear presentations on C5 and other stuff over the next couple days. So you'll get the information of what's happening. But Alberta, when it was created in 1905, was given our natural resources, was given their authority to run as a province, to govern themselves as a province, and this is all without our authority or our consent. So, but now with the addictions and with the separation, We have to stand together. You know, we used to have rallies and we used to have, you know, peaceful rallies. We don't do that anymore. Maybe we have to start doing that again, because our people used to all gather, not just chief and council, but the people and our elders, and they rallied. And I think maybe that's, at least we're vocal. We need to do that collectively. But I just wanted to say that. But as far as, you know, at the AFN meeting, one of the chiefs, I think it was chief, we had a caucus meeting, and he said the only thing that Daniel Smith can separate are her cheeks. I don't know which cheeks he was talking about. But that's the truth. Okay.
Thank you very much, Regina. I'm glad, well, the kids are gone now, right? We have a Chiefs Forum. Oh, we have one more to address separation and drugs and alcohol in communities.
That's it. We all know everything boils down open house, and that's where it begins. Open house, and from our home fires. But that's a problem. They get lost along the ways.
Dental school for 11 years because my mind is slow. I wasn't smart at school. And when I came out, and we had kids, so and my son was so but with the help, with the people here, they led me to a road that was Senagua. So I'm here today at the talking about gang and alcohol. Through alcohol and drugs. Gamam skuta make. Yesterday, we went to a feast, but we couldn't find it in Frog Lake. I was with her. And my friend that drove us there, this person, I don't even know their names, Neuya. They were ready to go to Edmonton. They have a place for addictions and all that. They have about 4 or 5 houses at the and they kept those for a year, 2 years ago. It was in them houses where they keep them people, they have a sweat lots in there. And they were on their way to Edmonton to have a sweat with them. But we were too busy visiting them. And Takagitok, there is hope. I just cried when I got home. There is still hope. I think it's so sick, and they're good people. There are our people, and she has a name in them little houses. Them people that are addicted, even one place for women that are addicted with their so we stop meet. I would like to see something like that happening in here in Onion Lake instead of talking about Mr. Haya keep through the agencies, because they knew what I went through, and what we suffered because of that residential school thing. My husband was a worker, but he was so strict. And he even had a Sundance whistle on the wall. This is how you Sundance. I put that down on my mom's whistle and my kids were so scared I didn't laugh because you don't make jokes out of sacred objects. And I want to tell them, you guys love your woman, guy, and your children. Don't treat them like guys. So quest, nurture them. Somebody said to me, "Nah, kanwe mau suinci," and I said, "Moya, eko on chapan, puis pe wai I've been taking her to ceremonies and stuff like that. And she's being well behaved. Love your woman. Love your woman and your children. Don't treat them like objects. They need nurturing. I didn't know anything, Nista, because I was a residential survivor. Nistan pemstangi pe patayan. Magantagagi den mi tenu te pesutan ni chisco. Ito kakapik square kakamimok. Keep doing your jobs, and I'll ask my friend what the people, her visitors were, and the name of them places where they keep alcohol and drug users and all that. So there is help. There is help. Kakamemo akatuskia. Tapos mo ni taga Simon makanistan musihon. Sagi ako ka mistake ako kaya through drugs, our young people. Meeting and tutawik sa gitna akamemo tag. Love one another. We cheated that.
Hi, Yvonne. Ik wou nooit zo moeten Kurt we steppen kakwets met mij. Met deze is dat ik uit mijn mamscoot en separation ga mamscoot ze gaat ik. Zo we gaan tonen man wist.
How noise. We talked about the Alberta separation piece, and we know that they're having town hall meetings. Okay, they're discussing how they're going to do this, who their friends are, trying to convince people, right? So I had a chance to talk to one of the Blackfoot chiefs, Chief Ure, among other chiefs. And we said, you know what, we can't just sit back here and complain about them meeting over there. I said, let's crash those meetings. So right then and there, Chief Ure and I talked about strategically gathering together our leaders and going there and telling them that enough is enough. This is our stand, right? Because I actually convinced one of our young leaders, Isaiah, he's here. I wasn't able to make that first town hall meeting in Red Deer, but he went in. He had a tough time registering. There was a process, but he got in. And he said they fight. They're not all 100% for separation. There's two groups. There's two groups there. If we're going to do this, we have to do this with that other group. We got to go in there and tell them, we agree, Alberta can't separate. So that's something that we all need to do, is at some point. So what I did was I got a list of the town hall meetings. There's a registration site. It asks you, what questions do you want to ask? And there's a process, right? But that's okay. Once you get in there, and get this, they give you 40 seconds, I believe, to speak, or 45 seconds. That's not a lot of time. So if we're going to deliver a message, we have to be standing one behind each other, right, and say, this is our message. So I'm encouraging you, those of you that can do this, support us when we go to those meetings. Because we can't do this alone. We brought this up at the AFN, and they say, yeah, we spoke on your behalf, we did this, but they're not here. It's up to us. So when we go to those town hall meetings, we expect a bit of a fight, right? But we have to stand our ground. We have to. And that's the only thing I want to tell you right now, is there's things happening. So just briefly, I'll speak just for Samson. We have an international plan. We hosted a United Nations meeting here not long ago at the airport, at the Radisson. And because we hosted an international United Nations meeting, we were given an opportunity to go back 3 weeks ago. It was about 3 weeks ago, eh, Holly? So Dr. Wilton Littlechild, this never happens at the UN, by the way. He was given 2 hours to speak and present our concerns, our solutions, and what was going on. Normally at the United Nations, you get 3 minutes tops. We were given 2 hours. So we have a report, and Wilton was trying to get that report done at the AFN, this last AFN meeting, but you know how that, they get bogged down on other things, so they kind of pushed him aside. That's not to say that nothing's being done. I just wanted to give you some assurance that there's pockets of activity, because I hear this all the time, and I used to be one of those guys that say, I come to these meetings and nothing's ever done, right? And you hear it. But I wanted to give you some assurance there's pockets of activity, things are being done. I think sometimes we just need to take that little bit of time to listen to each other. So be rest assured, there's things being done. We talked about a human rights, filing a human rights complaint at the United Nations level. Because what's happening with this Alberta separation, racism is coming out. Had one of my elders sitting right here who was in Calgary during Treaty 1 to 11, where 2 separatists came and tried to pick a fight with him, right? Usam, he's an elder and he looks very Indian, see? But you know, that happens. And that's because of this. Those are the things that'll happen. It's collateral damage. All the rednecks are coming out, and I guarantee you there's not enough for them to separate, but we can't take a chance. We can't be nonchalant about these things and say, well, they'll look after it, Negum Sots. Quebec came this close to separating, but it was Nehewak. They got to understand the land here, the underlying title of all of Canada is Indian land. It's all Indian land. Even under their court decisions, they recognize it's Indian land. But we gotta believe in it. Sometimes I think we don't put enough belief in what's there because we're used to thinking Canada's the law of the land. It's not. The law of the land is our law. That's Creator's law. And that's where we need to start. So with that, I just want to kind of give you a quick update on where we're at, but we'll give you more of an update as we get this. But we also have, at Samson, we have an NRTA filing that was done in 97, 98 to deal with the resource extraction and sharing that we're moving forward on. And as that happens, we will let you know. Okay?
Hi, Kurt. Nanaskum tanan for your sharing. Are there any other questions on the floor? And again, back to the questions and some of the questions that I had been asked to kind of steer toward, and that was more along the lines of what had happened at the AFN level maybe last week or a week and a half ago when that meeting took place. In terms of leadership and the struggles that they have gone through. But those are just some of the sample questions that had been forwarded to me.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Hi. Miasan myytin. Heta tamoin atsio. Hota kapapikskuan. Minä emyöttämään. Higi mi kursiakkain toisiin juujak. Piikskuun tapsistaa. Muimtanin sen takaa asiamon makamana takamiimon mana. I want to thank the Mr. Chairman here giving me an opportunity to express some of the concerns I have pertaining with the treaties of our First Nations. I'm very honored to be here and to listen what I'm hearing right now. It sure opens my eyes what is happening here in the province of Alberta. For so we are, as Central First Nations, we are part of Alberta. Maybe first of all, I should introduce myself. My name is Robert Whitecalf. I have a number. It's called a treaty number 107. I sometimes wonder what that number really means within a level of federal government. When Canada first patriated the constitutions, I was one of the chiefs to be in England. I had a chance to sit down with Lord Denning, explain and tell them about our reservation and on behalf of Treaty 6 nations, what we really want, what we want for our children, our grandchildren, and our great-grandchildren, and those young people that are coming up in the horizon. I express my concern, the reality we want the best for our young generation. I don't want the treaties just to end with the first generation. I wanted the continuation so that our children can benefit the beautiful Mother Earth, so that they can have a chance to enjoy the beauty of our Mother Earth and the universe. Most important of all, to uphold our culture, our ceremonies. Now, I'm called an elder. Yeah, an elder. But I'm not an elder yet, I'm still young. But I try my best to talk to young people pertaining with the ceremonies. I want our young people to understand, because it's about right time for these young people to start learning, because sometime in the future, I'm going to kick my bucket. And of all those ceremonies that I do, I'm going to take them along. And it's up to our young people to learn, start learning now, before it's too late. There's a lot of ceremonies out there in our reserve. They're disappearing because when I was young, I didn't have no ears. I didn't listen. Now today, I'm struggling. I feel sorry for myself, not paying attention to elders. This is why I encourage young people, pay attention to your elders now while we still have them. Our elders are really important within our communities. And one thing I want to ask here is that way back, May 24, 1944, my grandfather signed a treaty with the federal government. It was documented. They sat in a table like this. There were just a few. There was only 10 families that signed that treaty. So what the federal government did was they used those 10 families to determine how big Central First Nations is going to be. Our reserve is only 9, that time they used to say miles, 9 miles by 5 miles, and it's had so many corners. My question is, within that signing of the treaty with my grandfather, I was a young kid. I wasn't born yet. But later on, as I grew up, I've seen a document and I heard about that document that promised that in the future when the population grows, our reserves were supposed to be expanded to the level of the population itself. Now today we haven't seen that yet. My question is, maybe some of you bands have faced a problem like what we did back home over there. Right now, I have a lady over here, my relative. He's very familiar with what you guys have here. You call them laptops, phones, and all that, computers, everything. She's very familiar with it. I asked her one time to start looking at these things, and I'm really happy that he's working on that right now. I'm trying to support her because our white brothers in our band, they call that land claim. Does Sunshine still have that land claim? I don't know. That's why I depended my relative over here. I want to know if sometime in the future our reserve will be bigger according to the population. So maybe one of you chiefs, or maybe my sister over here, Regina, can answer that. Because I've worked with Regina for a long time, pertaining with the treaties. So with that, I just want to ask that question here. I'm a really yappy mouth. I never stop talking once I start talking, but I'm going to say that's enough for now. Robert Whitecalf, shut up. Thank you.
All right, well, Robert. Shut up. Tough one, huh? Thank you for that question. And the question is in terms of reserve, and I believe something along the lines of TLE. And Ogamau Lewis will.
Back in 1992, under the TLA framework, we accepted a settlement of 29 million. And today now, that's question that you pose, what if we didn't accept that settlement and go through that process? Maybe that's the process we should have taken. Now they give me some heads up on that. That's we accepted that settlement, but to a great benefit. That was a great move for us on terms of oil and gas. That's what we live on now. So I guess there's pros and cons to it, eh?
At the time of treaty making, the agreement was that we would live side by side with the newcomers without interference. And as we know, the way the written text of the treaty is, that our peoples didn't understand or agreed to, is different. But I know from what I learned, is that when our peoples decided which areas they were going to keep for the exclusive use of their peoples to continue their way of life, was identified through landmarks, whether they were rivers, lakes, hills, mountains, whatever. The written text says, a family of 5 is entitled to 1 square mile. Our peoples didn't understand anything about miles. They didn't know that. But that's what the written text is. And so when the first survey was done. So now, what Canada does is that they look at what you were entitled to at the time of first survey. So when you claim land or purchase land from them, they'll say only this amount is entitled to be called as Indian lands, reserve status. And that treaty land entitlement was done in Saskatchewan, I believe. It was started by the FSIN. And I know that's been followed by Canada, but it's called a settlement. Once you agree to an acreage or the amount of land that you're going to get under that process, that's the settlement, that's the end. They call it settlement, so there's no more obligation of the Crown or Canada to extend our lands. This is why it's important that we understand the oral history, our oral history at the time of treaty making and what our peoples agreed to. And then I know at our reserve, when the government wanted us to sell the land for the ring road in Calgary, we had a lot of debates. And the first time it was brought to us, our people said no. Because see, Calgary has been trying to get our lands since even when Bullhead was still alive. And our elders said, never sell the land, because they did not trust the government to extend our lands for our exclusive use, and that they would put a stop to it, and that's through the settlement agreements. And finally, and I was part of the negotiating team at the start, and we had said, we're never going to sell our land. We identified certain principles, and one of them was to never sell our land, because that was what the old people told us. However, the negotiating team changed and they agreed to sell that land. So in exchange, we got new lands up west. But you know, when I say new lands, those are the lands that are for our exclusive use. We have to remember all of our traditional territory, as was said this morning, is our territories and our lands. We never sold them, but through the land claims process, it seemed like we agreed that we sold our lands. Now we had to get it back, and the feds had to pay for that on our behalf. And then we had to get it into reserve status. We got that. Now we just purchased a new lands, and now we have to work on trying to get it into reserve status. So we have to be careful on the English words that are used. But I know when we sold our land for the ring road, the people wanted the money. They wanted money. So in addition to getting reserve land in exchange, we also got a financial settlement. And that's something when our peoples, many of our peoples live in poverty, or they just go from paycheck to paycheck, and they need money. So Canada dangles this money in front of us, and we fall for it, and then it's called a settlement. Once you get that, man, just like the cows and plows, those benefits under treaty. So, but I'm really glad to hear you say that, because that's something we have to explore, and we have to remember, we never sold our territories. So why should we be buying back our lands that we've never sold? We have to look at that, how we approach these settlement processes that they give us. And I think this is where those issues should be brought to the chiefs and try collectively to determine how we're going to deal with them. It's important that we retain the right to our traditional territories. The natural resources transfer agreement, which was done without our consent, where the federal government gave those lands to the provinces, and our natural resources below and above surface. If you look at that, and even part of that agreement, even though we weren't part of it and we didn't give our consent, which should have been, because even at the Royal Proclamation, the Crown said you cannot settle on these territories unless you make treaty and you come through me. Those agreements on the treaty are important, that we know exactly what our people felt, what their understanding was. So all of this territory, and yes, and then the province of Alberta comes along and says, where's your traditional territory? So the Crees are across Canada, the 3 provinces, right? You've got Crees in the States. Tatene is from the north to south of the United States border. That's all our traditional territories that that Creator gave us. But now through the province, people fight over their traditional territories. And yet it's all ours. It was all that the Creator gave us. The Creator didn't say the Crees live over here, the Dene live over here, the Blackfoot live over here, the Sioux live over here. He gave it all to us. But Canada, in their processes, and Alberta wants us to identify to a specific area. I know when they came to us And my daughter Tanya was in charge of consultation. She was the coordinator. When they talked to her, asked her, where is Tsutina's traditional territory? And she said, from the territories all the way to the southern border of the United States. That's Tsutina territory, traditional territory. They have yet to convince us to identify just a small portion of where our traditional territories are. So we have to be careful, even in Treaty 7. And it's referred to as, they refer to it as the Blackfoot Treaty. And they extend from Red Deer River south to the border. And we're there. And Tsutina is part of the Dene Nation. Our peoples traveled. We have families, relatives in the Navajos. We have families up to the north. There's even a trail in Montana that's called Bullhead Trail because our chief had moved, our peoples had moved around. So in Treaty 7, the Blackfoot Confederacy wants to claim all of this land, including ours. But they can't. So there's that fight over traditional territory, and even the Nakota peoples, because the Sioux moved from east to west. And the Blackfeet are descendants of the Algonquins who came from east to west, and our people settled all over. So we need to know and collectively agree that all of this is our traditional territory, and that's why we always wondered, why do we have to buy back the lands that when we purchase lands to increase our reserves? So if you look back in your history and see where are the landmarks that were used, and then at the time of treaty making, and then the time of first survey came in, and according to their understanding, they just put us here and there. These are the things that our leadership have to sit down with the help of their elders, with the help of the technicians, to identify so we can stand together to let Canada know that this is all of our territories and they're only here for settlement, nothing else. And it's going to be talked about on C5, Canada doesn't wait for our consent because they assume title to our territories. And that has to be dealt with as well. And right now, they didn't even consult us when Prime Minister Carney did his Canada Act, One Economic Act. Only when major projects are going to be dealt with, then they said they're going to consult us. But there's no guarantee they're going to accommodate us. And it's the very natural resources that Trump wants to make Canada a 51 state because they want to have access to our natural resources. And now Canada is panicking, and they did that law to try and protect themselves from Trump. So we have to stand together and clearly identify what our understanding is on our territories and our agreements, our treaty with the Imperial Crown. Canada is not our treaty partner, it's the Imperial Crown. And then the Imperial Crown handed over to Canada through the Patriation Act. The British North America Act, 9124 is where it says Indians and lands reserved for Indians. You look at that. And then Canada, the Crown, delegated authority to Canada to legislate. And yet in our treaty, Canada was only responsible for the promises of a treaty that we called treaty rights. to implement those. So Canada, because of their assumed title, they created the Indian Act, where they took away our power and gave it to the Minister of Indian Affairs. So our right of self-determination, our right to our nations is no longer there, but Canada's got it. But they put our lands in the Indian Act. They put our citizenship in the Indian Act. They put our tax exemption in the Indian Act and other things. And they're going to get rid of that Indian Act in the next year or so, once they get the Indians to agree to the Land Management Act, which makes our lands fee simple. We can use those lands as collateral for to get loans from financial institutions. They can, instead of just the leases, as you know now, we can't sell our lands because, see, the Crown made a promise. There's a fiduciary obligation that there'll always be Indians and lands reserved for Indians. And it's not just the reserves, it's all of our territories. And then they're going to they introduced a tax commission. That tax commission is allowing our governments to tax, which they're hoping that eventually our governments have to start taxing our peoples for our lands and anything else. Because any government has the right to tax, but our lands are key. If we look at that. They introduced the, child welfare. Every legislation that they do, the authority of that legislation is Canada, and they delegate it to us, putting us down that we're lower than the state of Canada, and yet we're nations, and we never gave up our sovereignty. We were at equal levels with the Crown as sovereign peoples. But because of their assumed title to our territories, they did that. They did everything. Also, in the Indian Act, once the Indian Act goes, Canada is working to stop paying us for the benefits of treaty or for any services that they gave us. They introduced a 10-year funding arrangement. They'll give you a lump sum for 10 years based on current funding arrangements, but you can move them around within that 10 years. But after 10 years, there's no guarantee, and they're going to stop paying us for the services and for our treaty benefits, which are never the right amount anyway. So we have to be careful. And this is why, I think it started in Ochapoys, and Onion Lake started the treaty-based funding arrangement, which our peoples should be doing to keep intact those promises of treaty. So once the Indian Act is gone, we're just municipalities. And that was never the intent of our forefathers when they entered into treaty. We have to understand what's going on, what's happening to us. Our lands are key. They're very important. We have to maintain our rightful ownership to our territories. And that's something all of us need to work together to keep it and stop. Canada's got no business trying to stop our treaties when they're not even our treaty partners. And the Crown is just leaving it to Canada to do what they need to do. They're saying, well, Constitution Act of 1982 gave them, but your treaty and Aboriginal rights are recognized and affirmed. And they're defining that through their court decisions and their policies, which are going to replace the Indian Act. So we have to know exactly what's happening to us here. We cannot be divided anymore. We have a trust responsibility too as leaders for our peoples today, tomorrow, those children yet unborn. Just the same way our forefathers had that responsibility and took care of us. If it wasn't for them, we won't be here today. We still can't say we're treaty Indians. Our citizenship, you look at that. We used to have treaty cards. Those treaty cards never terminated, and they outlined some of our benefits under treaty. Then Canada stopped that. Our peoples had complete jurisdiction over their citizens. And when we got that $5, our leadership said, these are my people. These people are my people. So they got that $5. That $5 was just a greeting gift. It was not for the sale of our lands, our territories. We have to remember that. Canada stopped that. Everything Canada does is to get rid of us. So they stopped the treaty cards. They gave us our status cards. I'm a treaty Indian. My kids are just status Indians. They're not treaty Indians according to Canada. Once the last treaty Indian dies that was born before September 4th, 1951, and according to Canada, there are no more treaty Indians. Just status Indians, which expires every 5 years. And then when they get rid of the Indian Act, those status cards are not going to be there because we're going to be municipalities. So we have to look at what's happening to us. Our kids need to know. Our peoples need to know. The adults need to know. Our leadership needs to know. It's got to unite us and work towards protecting our treaty so we can benefit under with the promises of treaty that we call treaty rights. Look at all the damage that Canada did to us. They have to give us the monies like these addictions and all those social problems because they ruined that for us. And we're the only ones that can find the solutions for our peoples. So they need to pay us for all the tragedies that they did to our peoples, so our peoples can heal. And we live our life according to back to how the Creator gave us. So it's important. It is important that we know our history, who we are, what the treaty is about, and our fiduciary obligation for our own peoples, and make Canada accountable. We have to correct that 91-24 because that's not what the treaty was about. And quit falling into those traps through Canadian legislation. They've interfered in our lives since treaty making. And our peoples before weren't even allowed legal counsel. Today, we can. But many of you have to be careful on who we hire as legal counsel because they're appointed by Canada and they're given that I guess they represent the Crown and they protect the Crown. We have some lawyers who are lawyers but understand who they are. First of all, who they are and what the treaties are all about. And those are the ones that can help us. And you mentioned Lord Denin. I think it was in 1993, I accompanied Treaty 6 to London, and we were sitting in Lord Denin's den, and one of the things that stuck in my mind was he said, "You will never get justice in Canada. The only place you're going to get justice is in the international court. But you have to get lawyers that understand this." And we know, and I think the time is coming when we have to, because Canada won't meet with the treaty people, so with the rights holders, they go to AFN and they manipulate our consent. Now, if they won't meet with us, the time may come that we have to go to international court. And we need all of our nation's treaties 1 to 11 to pull through to do that, and it won't be so costly, but we can get together and make it happen. But our lands are reserve lands. And I have to research that on if there's increase in our, on the amount of lands that our peoples kept. Some tribes were just given lands, you know, according to the formula under the treaty, written text of the treaty. But I know in our case, Bullhead identified the area, and they kept trying to put him south of Gleason, where the Blackfoot were, but 2 or 3 times he moved camp, and that's where we are today. And he identified it through landmarks of where Tsuut'ina would continue their way of life according to the life that the Creator gave us. So there's a lot of work, but I can assure you the technicians have done a lot of research. And many times when we go to AOTC, they don't even get an opportunity to explain or bring their findings to the chiefs. You know, because the agenda is set, and then it's only 2-3 days, and many times we're never able to deal with all the business. So we have to structure ourselves. But I will give you an update tomorrow on the treaties 1 to 11, because the time is now to take action, or we're going to be municipalities if we don't do anything. And we're going to be paying taxes in order to, we have to pay taxes to our governments so they can provide the necessary services to us, pay land tax to the government, and that's not what was intended at treaty making. I know I didn't answer your question, but I'm really glad to hear that question. So I'll refer it to the technicians so we can get build up some facts on that. And also to start hearing from our peoples, because we had an oral history. Everything is handed to us through stories and, you know, through just orally. Because we don't, in our words, although there's some now, we don't have a written history. But we do have there's some scholars that have done that and some lawyers. But not all of it is true. You have to look at the source. You know, I don't trust too many people. But anyway, so those are the things, but that's key. That is key, and our natural resources were never put on the table for discussion. We never gave them up. And they know that. Canada knows that. That's why they don't want to come to talk to the treaty peoples. They go to AFN where they manipulate our consent. It's an organization. So just be careful. I went way beyond what your question is, but I thought I'd give you some background on it. Okay, thank you.
Hi. Thank you very much, Regina. Like always, very interesting. I love listening to you. Hey, I have to apologize. I know the microphone had been handed over to another question. Mahka, it's in terms of time and trying to get through with the agenda. We have Jim O'Cheese, inherent laws, mamamskuta. And so I think while they're getting ready, I know we will jump to Jim O'Cheese's presentation, Elder Jim O'Cheese. We'll give him 5 minutes to set up, so that gives you time to go and grab a cup of coffee or a cup of tea. Oh, it's all set up already? Already, so Elder Jim O'Cheese with inherent laws and governance. Where's the microphone, the wireless?
It's right here.
Me.
It's all greasy and all, because all the neck bone eaters were all passing at each other.
Ago maganak. Kay got no na nimsiken. Kay nino ma kapmentom goan. Pentom goan mo on siga petakusinian. Kay ni intenen siga no mo tapisan. Maga gipin tohtan kay nin. Pichen away. Menawang gipi wapantanan. Kaya siyak ugi kinuwi kayo nawan. Minyo mo ang siya pe tasintaman. Maka kagot no. Kanin kinoa kanong tento tamek kagot tino. Kananak ko minnim. Kananas kom tinaw no ako marantik. Onion Lake, Chief Lewis. Ano sotra kape kantom yek tapi tohtian. Tapi pik squat taman. Kseno ako nakatsige unoawa. Te tamam to nesta mek. Tamam to nesta kik. Kuge uskaya kuskip matsak. Magaya nanas komonote e pentom yek. Namonian te chika notra pe tohtian. Iki pentom chikoge. Tapi big squanota. Maga nimyehten anocho mota. I just wanted to say thank you to Chief Lewis and the committee, the treaty concerns. I just wanted to say in my language some of the things and some of the language in Cree. But I wanted to say this in English as much as I can. I'm not a good yagasimo aisi nonya. So I don't speak English that good, but I'm going to try the best I can. And I just wanted to acknowledge the leadership that come from all over in this land of ours. I just wanted to acknowledge in every one of them. And the elders that did the pipe ceremony this morning, and the elders that come from those communities that our children that are verge of losing their inherited treaty rights again. I was involved back in a day when against the 69 white paper back in 1973 and 74, and actually at the Overlander Lodge in Hinton, Alberta. And our elders at that time, and I hear people saying we need to work together. And at the time I heard the things that they have used. And working together, they really believe the belief that the Creator has given us. And some of them, our elders, are no longer here. And some of them, their sons, like late Chabis was there. And I got those pictures of those elders because I was the one that took the picture at that time. And there's only two of us that are alive that were there when the 69 white paper was defeated at Overlander Lodge by Hinton, Alberta, back in 1970. And I just want to say today we're facing the same problems with every government that comes to be in a leadership. Whether if it's Charlottetown Accord or Meech Lake Accord, Bill C-45, all those things, they all stem from extinguishing or inheriting treaty rights. So I just want to say that have an open mind, because some of the things I'm going to say, it might hit your little heart, but what I'm presenting is a presentation by the elders that I work with back in the day when they were up against the government. I was involved back in the day creating the red paper after we defeated the 69 white paper. So I'm still here, and I was honored June of this year in Edmonton being part of the